Greetings and blessings, everyone, and welcome to Lights for the Way podcast. I am your host, James Thomas Devitt, and joining me today, of course, is Anita Davies. We are sponsored by the Blue Star Spiritual Group, and currently there is some really great things happening at the moment. We still have our special for the personal Akashic Scrolls. They are only $50. It is a mind-blowingly good deal because you're getting about a 6.5-page reading. And we have Anita doing her star seed readings, which are next level, beyond amazing. And you can contact us here at the show if you are interested in having one of these readings done. Now, on today's show, it's very, very exciting because I actually did a video on this, probably about 18 months ago. But today we're going to discuss universal light language. And it is really quite amazing. So what we'll do initially, of course, is we're going to say hello here. Hi there, Anita.
Hi there. How are you?
Good. How are we doing today?
I'm doing very well. I'm sitting in the sunshine at the moment, just enjoying what I think might be a fleeting amount, as I hear it's raining and not quite so pleasant down in Dunedin.
Actually, the sun is now out here in Dunedin.
It's been teasing you today.
A little bit because it's been raining like crazy this morning. The rain coming in sideways with wind.
Nice and cold.
Fortunately, it wasn't raining when I went to the gym or when I left to come home again, because all I was wearing was my shorts and gym shirt.
We all know about Spirit. How Spirit look after us.
Oh yes. Now, today's show is on light language, and we both know that you do some amazing universal light language in writing it, and you have calligraphy pens that you use, which are amazing.
Thank you.
How long have you been aware of universal light language, and how long have you been speaking it?
I have been aware of universal light language and speaking it, reading it, writing it, and translating it since I met you in April, and you released that ability for me.
Now, that's something interesting, and I wanted to mention that because that was in April, correct?
That's correct.
Now, in April, now the funny thing is here, I actually remember that little encounter of ours, and it was like you couldn't help but come over and talk to me. And it was like you're being pushed, and it's like I'm being pushed because it's like, yeah, I know I need to speak with this person, although I have no idea why. And I've gotten to a point in my life where I generally don't ask that question. It's like, okay, yep, got to do this. Have a nice day. Now, the funny thing is that this was activated in you in our encounter and discussion and what we did, because I believe, if I remember correctly, on that initial encounter, I actually replaced your throat chakra, if I remember correctly. Is that right?
That's correct, you did.
Yeah, kind of changed some things up for you a little bit, which is part of the fun, of course. Now, the funny thing is, for myself, I started speaking in universal light language. We're talking, holy crap, 22 years ago. And it was a similar situation in the sense that the person I was with at the time, she had organized, unbeknownst to me, a healing session with a young lady who was a healer for the both of us to go and have a healing done at the same time. And the funny thing is I never met this person before, never saw them again afterwards, and I couldn't even tell you their name or, nothing about them, But about halfway through the session, she's going between the two of us and removing different stuff, and She's talking in universal light language and doing etheric implant removal. And I'm sitting here going, whoa, this is really cool. I like this. This is really cool, you know? And then all of a sudden she turns to me and she goes, Morgan's got a helmet on her head, and it's a Roman helmet, and I need your assistance to remove it. Now, of course, what I realized later on was this person did not need my assistance to remove a helmet. She didn't need my assistance to remove anything. But when she asked me that question, I said, yep, no problem. And with that, the light switch was flipped on, and I could do etheric implant removal, and I could speak in universal light language. Now, here's a question for you. Approximately, have you noticed that you can speak multiple different dialects?
I can speak multiple different dialects, yes.
I know, same with me. Now, although I am able to translate universal light language, I generally do not. And it's basically a personal choice that I made a long time ago. You, on the other hand, are a master translator of universal light language, which is an amazing gift indeed. So, but there are certain things that I have always found amazing. And so it's just like if I ever do a prayer or a blessing, I generally always use the same 3 words at the end. Now, the funny part is that just sitting here talking, I could not tell you what those 3 words are. So let's see if I can bring them out. So I'll do a blessing in universal light language. Nomo kitala hanamotara tala hanamotala pratamokai mai taratamotashi. Iano la pratamokai tala tala pratamota la pratamoshna kara hanamota. Omata kite lamashna. Same 3 words. Every single time. But I can only do it when I'm actually doing a blessing or a prayer. They don't come out otherwise. And there is a song. There is a song from home that I sing and have sung for years, for like 15, 20 years now. And I normally will sing it during the Blue Star Healing Workshop. I actually sang it in the workshop in Christchurch, the one that you attended. I prefer universal light language because with universal light language, you see, it's a heart language. It's not of the mind. So just to give kind of an idea here, let's see here. Toishnia, Joshna no moti kaishni nietramotai. Protocolo honomadlo protomokitere protomoto shidnietra honomokla protomotolo protomokila protomotoshna. Yom tom di ande tom de ashnieta nomohanai oshna. Yomonikere hamatishna. Now, just for fun.
Yes.
You heard those different dialects.
Yes.
What struck you as far as like where do you think they would fit? Now, the first one, mind you, is the one that I normally speak and have always spoken. So,
in what way are you asking where they fit? Are you asking me what you've said?
no, where do they come from?
Okay, all right. You want to know the language? Because when you use the term universal light language, there is a language called universal light language, and it is generally understood by all beings.
Correct. But then again, it's like generally with somebody who speaks universal light language, like yourself. Now, I spoke 4 different dialects there. Did you understand all 4?
I have to channel to understand. I can't just sit and listen. I have to connect them to do it. but I can connect in to find out what you have spoken.
All right. This is so very cool. You know, it's like being able to, because universal light language is quantum in its nature, and because it is a heart language, the actual meaning is carried on the vibrations and the energy that comes through the heart while Anita is connecting.
One of them you have used actually is universal light language itself. Okay, it's very universal to all beings. Most of them will understand it.
Yes. Now, what I'm noticing, and I know for you, you haven't been speaking light language very long.
No.
But for myself, having been speaking light language for over 22 years, you know, back in like the mid 90s, it's like I could go for 2 years and not run across another person who spoke universal light language.
No.
And now they're coming out of the woodwork. And unfortunately, because of that, there is this mentality with some that they think that they are actually speaking the higher vibrational universal light language, and they're not.
No, that's true. They think they write it sometimes and they don't.
No, and it's really disconcerting because it's like there's actually people, and this is something that I keep going back to while Anita is connecting in to let us know a little bit of what I said.
I have got.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, you go ahead first, and we'll go from there.
Okay, I've gotten Pleiadian.
Yeah.
Old Ishmarian. That one you know?
No, haven't heard of Ishmarian. Not
Ishmarian.
consciously. I mean, it resonates, but not consciously.
And a language which is very ancient, an old ancient one. I'm just trying to pick up on the name of it. Oh, it is the language of the ancient.
There you go. So you see, and this is like we're you know, like I said at the beginning of the show, it's like Anita does the most amazing starseed readings, and you really should think about getting one. But it is disconcerting because, you know, and it's something that I discuss a lot, and it's something that I say a lot. And I say this to my clients, I say this to my students, and anyone who will listen. We must discern. And a lot of people aren't discerning. They go, well, so and so said it, so it's got to be true. No, because so and so is actually, although they may believe what they're saying, is not actually correct.
That's correct. And I think the hardest thing for them, of course, is they don't know that they're not necessarily speaking or writing a language. They get it through and they get very excited, which you can understand.
Oh, yeah.
Because they see this and they think, oh, wow, this is new to me. I haven't written this one, or I haven't spoken this one before. But to put it frankly, sometimes somebody's yanking their chain. And they're being teased, fooled around with, being perhaps made to think about what they're doing, because this isn't what I have been doing. So why am I getting something that does not look like I normally receive? And what does it mean? And to actually really look at the structure of what they're getting, because a lot of people write it rather than read it, speak it, sorry. And they really need to look at the structure or listen to the structure of what they're saying.
I know, and the thing is the fact that, I mean, you write it, I also write it. I have written it for years and years and years. And it's in symbol form. I have other friends who write it as well, who speak it as well. I've noticed in the last few workshops that I've done for the Blue Star Healing Method that there's been generally at least half of the participants who can speak light language. There's even been people who didn't actually realize that they were speaking light language, realizing that they're speaking light language, and away they go, and it's amazing, and it's just really, really mind blowing. But we still have this problem where we have people out there who are thinking, and the thing is, and I don't want this to be misunderstood here, I'm not bashing anyone, because I recognize the fact that they actually do think that they're doing this, but they're not. And what's happening is they don't actually realize it, because one thing that a lot of people don't really understand or realize is that we will be given incorrect information, or we will be sent down the rabbit hole, and it's not because it's true, it's because it's testing us. And the thing is spirit, see, we are in third dimensional life. And because we're in the third dimension and we're in this life, we've had situations where guides and stuff have gone, oh, well, that energy signature is in their energy, so they're ready for this. And they'll provide whatever, is in conjunction with that energy signature. And then they realize that consciously that person's not ready for it. And all it's done is cause problems. Now, I take it that you're seeing this as well?
I am seeing this, yes. I have listened to a lot of those who speak light language on YouTube, and I've yet to come across more than one or two people putting it out that it's actually genuine. It's a matter of my being able to translate, and I will get the information very quickly, whether it's true or not. In one instance, I watched one, and this person said, everybody can do this. All you have to do is go yo, 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 so, 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 yom, yom, yom. And I'm thinking, oh, really? That really blew me away, because this person had so many hits on their site, and so many people who buy into this and believe this, and believe that all they have to do is sit and chant, and then the next thing is they'll be talking light language. But the thing is, we have to think about it. If we are receiving light language, it is for a reason and a purpose. It's not just for the fun of it. Oh, let's speak light language. It's fun to speak light language when we go out to a party and talk. We can all talk in another language.
I agree. And, so many people that they want to believe so much, and they want to be, or they want to feel as though they're a part of something really big, and I get that, and I understand that. I really do. But it's like, what's the point if all you're doing is following a path that's not actually real?
It is pointless, isn't it?
It is pointless. It's like, universal light language is an amazing thing, but at the end of the day, and the bottom line is the fact that there's a lot of people out there who claim to speak universal light language, and they really cannot, and they really don't. And unfortunately, ego gets in the way, and you try and point out certain things, and then the ego kicks in, and they're like, oh, you have no idea what you're talking about. And you're like, okay, well, do what you want to do. And then you're going to end up with all these disappointed people over and over again, which ends up happening all the time. And the other problem is that you get people who, like you said, they get so many hits, and you get all these people following them, and it almost becomes like a religion.
It does, doesn't it? They actually get quite a following, and they believe everything they see, and they believe everything they hear, because they think this person knows what they're talking about, and this is the path I want to travel, and this is the spiritual path, not understanding that every person that comes into their spirituality has a totally different path to the next person. You and I are both very strongly connected, and we both walk a very different path. Even though we work together, your strengths are very, very different to my strengths. I feel that we complement each other very well with our strengths, but we don't walk the same path. We're not meant to walk the same path. I'm not meant to have your abilities any more than you're meant to have my abilities, or I'm meant to have anyone else's abilities for that matter.
Kila mo nakala mo te kala hinarata mo katai.
So I'm just translating now.
I was actually wanting you to just reply.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm not wanting you to translate. Ich nach ma hai dus maching ni a noch nai ons ma ha dus nach hai noch nach hai dus nach ha dus ma hai dus nai. And I speak very differently to you. We don't sound anything alike.
And we don't have to.
No.
You know, I mean, there are always variations, and the thing is that, you know, there are reasons why, like for you and I, that we speak so many different dialects of universal light language. And there are reasons why we have the abilities that we have. I mean, like, you know, I think one of my the things that I found so hilarious was I actually saw, this is some years ago, I saw where people were actually claiming that they could teach other people how to speak universal light language. And you can't.
Well,
you really can't. I mean, there's no way to teach someone.
You would first have to be able to understand what you were saying. And would you agree with me that there would be scant few people upon this planet who actually understand or can translate? I cannot speak to you and understand as I speak. I have been told very clearly, because of the fluidity of the language and the vibration, I must then connect in after for a translation, which I can do easily enough. As long as, of course, it's not too long a discussion. Otherwise, I have the funny feeling my poor febrile human conscious mind won't keep up. But you have to be able to understand. If you speak English and teach English, you must be able to understand your language. If you speak French and teach French, you must be able to understand the language, be able to translate the language, and impart that knowledge to others. You can't do that with this. People do not know what they're speaking.
No, and the bottom line is the fact that, you know, it's not about teaching people how to speak universal light language. And this is I think one of the situations that we're facing. You know, the thing is that you mentioned it with some of these YouTube videos that you've seen on light language. We've got these people out there who are bogus, you know. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that they don't have a true desire of wanting to do this work or anything like that, but they don't actually have the ability, and they are misleading a lot of people. And the bottom line is that those people who actually have the ability, they have this tendency to get lost in the shuffle. You know, I mean, it's like there have been. See, I have. I know this is going to sound really strange, but I have a disability. My disability here on planet Earth is the fact that I don't have an ego. So
I don't think that's a disability, actually.
well, no, I understand that, but I mean, it seems to me like a lot of the people that really become really popular and everything are people that have that ego.
It drives them. Their ego drives them to do this, to put themselves out there, to be successful. It's a driving force behind where they are and who they are. And I find that I won't use the word challenge, but I have recently connected with somebody and sort of said, hey, do you realize that what you're putting out as a language actually isn't a language? And I was extremely firmly put in my place that this person had many, many, many years of receiving, and she knew exactly what she was doing. even though it was put out as a question, do you know what this is? And I wasn't actually the only person who came in and told her that it wasn't a language. But she still was not prepared to take that on board and discern about it. Now, there were many people who proposed certain ideas, and some of them were rather unusual. And everybody's slant was totally different, which tells me that not one person that looked at that information understood in any way whatsoever what they were looking at.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's kind of sad, to be honest with you. But it just seems to me that people have this strong desire to do this, whether they can do it or not doesn't matter, and they just don't realize that what they're doing is not actually real.
No, they don't.
It makes you wonder. It just really makes you wonder. So, I mean, the one that you're referring to, I'm looking at it right now,
Mm.
and it's not a light language.
No, it's not a language. I've even shown this to a person I know who doesn't speak light language. And I said to her, just, have a look at it. What do you think of this? Just use your discernment and have a really good look at this. And she went, this is not light language. She said, it's no activation code. She said, it reminds me of Morse code. She said, where's the language? She said, where is the different languages and symbols? She said, there's just 2 or 3 little symbols that are constantly repeated over and over and over. She said, where's the actual language in this? There's no language there.
But she does say that it was a frequency a bit like Morse code.
She did. It was exactly what she said. She said, this reminds me of Morse code.
But it doesn't do what she's claiming it does.
No. This is the other thing while we're talking about it, about activations. There's another thing that bothers me, and people don't understand that when we receive an activation, normally it's a personal activation. It's actually not meant to be put out for others. It's not a showpiece to be shown off, sent around the world. I have seen this also where a personal activation has gone out and literally 30 or 40 people have come back and said, I had the most amazing download. I'm thinking, this is impossible. An activation for a person, once you've had your download, that activation actually becomes null and void. I've had activations myself, which you've written for me. Once I've used it, it's null and void. I won't get even a smidgen of anything out of again once I've actually received my download. But I don't imagine he's not the only person who's putting out personal downloads for other people, and they're all buying into this, oh, I'm getting a download as well, when they're actually not.
Oh, I know that. And the thing is that people need to, I hate to beat a dead horse, but people really need to really focus on discernment.
They do.
They really need to start going within and discerning within their heart. To just blindly accept what somebody else says is true just isn't it. It's not what it's not real. People have no idea what's actually going on here, and it's really annoying me.
Well, it's a little bit, and I hate to sort of beat this one up too, but it's a little bit like spiritualism has become another religion. And it's like the religious scriptures, and please don't get me wrong, I mean, Christianity is important to a lot of people. But it's a bit like these people who have come in before us and they've brought in their truths. And so everybody thinks that these truths are for everyone. And it becomes a religion.
Well,
And
don't
they
forget
don't
though.
like, sorry?
Don't forget though. There were, back in the day when I was awakening and everything. One of the things that I noticed is that a lot of the people that were moving towards back in those days, it was called the New Age movement, or the spiritual movement. A lot of people that were moving into that were coming from Christianity. They were leaving the churches because it no longer held true for them. And it's kind of like, I don't really hear it so much today, or at least I haven't. Maybe I'm not reading those particular websites and stuff like that, because I usually don't read a lot about other people's stuff, because I've always been told to keep a separation because of the channeling I do and everything. But a lot of the people back then, it seems to me that they had this mentality just like Christians. It's like, oh, well, we're going to ascend into the fifth dimension. And when we get there, there won't be any duality, and everything's going to be perfect, and everything's going to be hunky dory. And I'm like, so basically, what you've done is you've just taken the Christian version of heaven and put it here in a different context and a different way of saying it. you know, and so, that happens. And so, with universal light language, it's like one of the things that I do with people is I will take my right hand and I will hold their left hand and I will speak light language to them. And then I will ask them, what do you feel? Every time I've done that for over 20 years, I've gotten, holy crap, I can feel all of this energy going through and all of this tingling going through. And I actually gave a blessing. This happened in Tacoma, Washington. And I actually gave a blessing to a lady who had never heard of light language, had never spoken it, nothing else. And as far as I know, she never has spoken it. And at the end, without me saying anything in English, she said, "Thank you so much for that blessing," because she knew, you know. So a universal light language it's very, it's beautiful, and a lot of times I prefer it over English, because English you have to use too many labels to get anything across. But Wama ketela hanoia taratamitra hala protosh. Osh nikla norotomotelai. Osh nikla norotomotumnieta. Umnieta kala protomotala norotomakia pra. Labratomokietala hamaratamahite.
Usnachma hai dushmaha, achma, ushne dushma hai ne, usnachne esh nucha, dushma ne. To me, it is divine, it is sacred, it is beautiful, it is powerful, it is healing, it is complete.
Well, and it is, and it is beautiful beyond words. And I love universal light language in all of it, true form. And I think this is a good place to end the show. Um, if you guys like the light language, we'll be happy to bring that forth more often. On our next show, we've actually had someone. I mean, please understand, we are still very, very new with this podcast. We have 8 out. We have one that's coming out tomorrow, which you'll probably already see before you even hear this one, which is going to be on the Ascension. But we finally got somebody who's emailed through some suggestions. And so for our next show, perhaps what we'll do is we're going to do a show, and it's going to be on what is the awakening of the star seeds. And included in that is going to be what are implants, what is and when does activations happen, and when and what are downloads. And so we will be covering that the next time that we get together. Please understand that we are in the beginning phases of creating this podcast. It's wonderful. We now have 11 subscribers on YouTube, so that's really good. We've hit double digits. In the meantime, many blessings unto all of you, and please be at peace, please discern, and please follow your heart and guidance. Your last thoughts there, Anita?
Have a wonderful day. Enjoy anything and everything that comes your way. Be you, walk your path, discern, love life.
Peace.